If everything else could be open to the public, then the public should know that I had a shock device on my ankles. That was purposely not shown to the jury or to the public. They should know that.
You know, it's very interesting that Darrell Brooks Jr. really thought that the people needed to know that he had a shock device on and that they would care. What's going on, everyone? You're watching Sight Sounds Flavors on YouTube, sightsoundsflavors.com. If at any point in time you like the video, smash that like button. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and leave a comment. So, you know, to me, honestly, I don't think people really much cared if he had a shock device on or not. You know, he made a big how do you do about it with the black curtain over the desk, about the judge not telling the jury, about the court not telling the world. But I don't think that Darrell really fully grasped the fact that the world did not like him, does not like him, and probably hates him. So the idea that he had a shock collar device on, whether on his ankles or his legs, on his hands, whatever the case may be, people probably would have applauded for such a thing. They wouldn't have been outraged, and they wouldn't necessarily have felt bad for him either. I mean, when you think about what he did to that community, what he did to the people there, and his antics in the courtroom, especially taking his shirt off, staring people down, threatening people, you know, I don't think that there would have been a lot of moral backlash had he actually had that on. But I don't think that he did. And I think that the judge addressed this pretty plainly, pretty squarely. I think that this was just another one of his examples of trying to distort what was really happening, because he knew full well how much this trial was televised. He knew what was going on social media. He knew about this phenomenon firsthand, whether through Dawn or Dr. Mary Edwards, the roommate, whoever. He knew that it was taking place. And so I feel that what he was trying to do was he was trying to undermine the integrity of the proceedings. And he knew that that would strike a chord with Judge Durl. Now, you know, Sue Opper and prosecution team, they were so onto him that even though they really believed in the integrity of the proceedings, and you couldn't have asked for prosecutors that were more committed to following procedure, at the same time, they did not fall for Darrell's antics. They knew that this was a legitimate trial. They knew that they had gone above and beyond to help him even with his witness list, help him even by sometimes not even objecting to things or allowing things that they had no business allowing, just to appease the judge or to let the process run smoothly, because in the end, it wasn't going to change the outcome. But they did everything possible to ensure a legitimate hearing. But when Darrell would question that hearing, the judge would fall for it, and she would even get into an arguing match with him, whereas they wouldn't. So again, you know, I think that, you know, in summation, because I don't want to spend, 10 minutes on this, but I do want to say that I find it intriguing that he thought that it would make a difference, whether with the press, public opinion, especially with the jury. I mean, he really thought that if the jury knew that there was a shock device under that black robe, that it would make some sort of a difference, and it wouldn't. I mean, the jury spent all of 2 hours deliberating, and I'm surprised they even spent that much deliberating. So the reality of the matter is I think that this is another example of Darrell's delusion, really. His delusion that people cared as much about him as he thought they did, when in reality, you know, I don't even want to speculate as to what some of the people, especially those jurors, wanted to see done to him in accordance with justice. I mean, I'm going to tell you something. It's a good thing that there wasn't a poll, because, I mean, there was downright hatred for him. And what he put the victims through, I think that he maybe would not understand this point because he's just so aloof to it all. But I think that possibly one or two jurors, possibly, went in there with an open mind. And of course, when they saw the evidence, took a huge disliking to him. But when they saw how he acted, with respect to the survivors and the victims, they probably hated him 300 times more as a result of that. He did himself no favors. If he would have kept those lawyers and not said anything, not taken the stand, there's a possibility that he may have received a lighter sentence at some point. But lighter meaning what? Well, lighter meaning 500 years instead of 800 years. He was never going to walk out of there a free man. But in his mind, he thought that he would. And in his mind, I think that he really truly believed that if the jury knew that he was subjected to a shock device, for example, that would make some sort of determinative difference in maybe the verdict or the sentencing or something. But really all it did was, I think, it just made people hate him all that much more, and the fact that the cockiness that he had about the fact that, that the judge was deceiving the people, because he thought whenever he'd say "we the people," I really thought he was just talking about himself. You know, I've never seen anybody identify with we the people more than him. And so anytime you did something wrong against him, you were doing it against we the people, which I also thought was delusional. But in any event, I've got a cold. I should probably get into bed. I should probably go to sleep. But I just wanted to make this video because, you know, a lot of people on a lot of the videos that I've put out have talked about this one point. And I don't honestly think that there was such a thing. And look, I've looked into it, and it's possible. Are there devices out there like that? Yes. But I don't think that if they had, I don't know, what do you think? I guess that would be a pretty important question to ask, since we're talking about the shock device and we're talking about the black curtain. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that he was handcuffed or that he was shackled to maybe a chair or maybe the table or something like that. We all saw that one case in Nevada where the guy was at an arraignment and was able to jump over and into the judge's quarters there. The judge's chair, like little, it was weird because the judge's section was elevated and it seemed to be a good 10 or 15 feet away, 20 feet away from that podium. And that defendant was able to get through that whole thing and jump up and into the judge and attack the judge. So there's no question in my mind that Darrell was shackled. There's no question in my mind that he was probably shackled at the feet. His hands didn't look shackled to me. But again, those are security measures. And one thing the judge said all throughout the trial was that she was not going to meddle in corrections, Department of Corrections security protocols, how they took Darrell to the Sally Port, how they transported him from the jail to the holding cell at the courthouse, how they brought him from the holding cell to the courthouse and vice versa. That was all part of the security apparatus. And I respect the judge for not getting into all that. I also respect the judge for accepting those internal memos that she was accepting, even though she said that that wasn't her job. She was accepting them, hopefully to make the process a little bit easier on corrections and bailiffs and whatnot, but she would never get into specifics about the pods, specifics about the law library, specifics about transport issues. She was always very mindful of that, and I appreciate that because I think that's very, very important. And I think the same thing goes to the point about the shock devices, but to that, she was very, very direct, and that's all the more reason I believe that he, in fact, did not have those devices, because that she did address head on, and she didn't have to do that. And if you study how she acted with the other security protocols, that's really a departure from her not addressing them at all. So when she said very clearly and convincingly, look, you did not have those on you, and it became a contentious issue between her and Darrell, I lean more towards the judge, obviously. Now, of course, there's people out there that, you know, they would never admit in a million years they side with Darrell, but by continuously bringing this point up, you might as well say you believe him and not the judge. I believe the judge. I believe prosecution team. I don't believe that there was a shock device, but I'm not going to chastise you if you believe that there was. I'm simply just going to ask very, very directly if you believe there was, and if you think there was, why do you think the judge said there wasn't? Do you think it was because she didn't know, or do you think something else? I don't know. I don't believe that he had a shock device on. I believe the judge. What say you? And as always, guys, look, we're past 8 minutes. As always, guys, please like the video if you like it. Please subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and please, please, please leave a comment down below. Peace.